Have you ever wanted a place where you can store all your ideas and then track them at each stage of your task until your projects are completed? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how I use ClickUp and statuses to collect my ideas and monitor them as I work towards getting them completed and scheduled. My name's Inwills, and welcome to the In Crowd. Hello and welcome back to another video. If you don't know me, my name's Inwills and I'm a small content creator and streamer based in the United Kingdom who produces content on productivity and organization to support my fellow content creators. So if you find this video or any of the videos on my channel supportive, then please consider liking, commenting and subscribing. It really promotes the reach of my content so that other people might be able to benefit from it. Now, since achieving YouTube partnership, I now have a special button down here that you can leave any tips that you wish, as in cash, helpful tips in the comments to support my work and the channel. So yeah, do check that out if you feel like giving me that little extra bit of support. Before I start, and for complete transparency, thank you to ClickUp who have provided me with an affiliate link. So if you do think that what I'm talking about might be helpful to you, then do consider using the affiliate link that I put in the description of this video. And if you do, thank you. Really, thank you. So in the first two videos of this series, I showed you how I replaced 3 applications with one, i.e. moved my Trello, my Asana and my Notion all into ClickUp. And in the last video, I talked about how I organize my lists and documents in ClickUp. Well, in this video, I'm going to focus on how I use statuses within my lists in order to monitor the progression of my tasks. And these may start off as a humble idea, and how do I monitor them through being in progress to them ready to be scheduled and ready to share or just completed. So when I started to use ClickUp, I was very familiar with Kanban boards. Now this was because I had used them a lot in Trello. So as you might be aware, a Kanban board is organized into columns. And what you do is that you create a task on a card and then you move that throughout from column to column as you make progress with them. So the columns are titled different things like in progress, ready to be completed, awaiting further information, or completed. Now, being used to Kanban boards actually allowed me to transfer quite successfully to using ClickUp. They do not call them titles of columns or anything like that. They call them statuses. So in my head, a status was the name of the columns on a Kanban board. Now within ClickUp, there are some statuses already created, but you can also create your own. Now, whenever you start a new program, especially if you're wanting to be productive, it's better, I always think it's better to go along with what the program provides to start off with until you get used to it. And then after that, you can start developing it or adapting or adjusting it to your own workflow. And that's what I did with ClickUp. So as sure as I came across, I used the preloaded or the pre-made statuses that ClickUp provides. And then as I became more used to how I was going to use ClickUp effectively and efficiently, I then started to create my own. Now, it doesn't really matter whether or not you're using your own or the pre-made ones. There are some statuses that you have to have, and you can't move away from these. You can rename them, but ClickUp needs them in order to operate. So the first one is an inbox or to-do status. This can't be moved around from those columns. It always has to be in the first column. And you can, however, change both the color and the title of it. So you can call it inbox, you can call it to-do list. It's completely up to you, but you have to have that one. And then the second one that you have to have, the second one that is default, is the completed status. And this is the status at the end of the series of columns that you move tasks when they are completed, and you've finished the workflow and they're done and dusted. So from now on in the video, I'm going to refer to the titles of their columns in a Kanban board as statuses. Okay, so just remember that I'm not going to keep going back and saying the title of the column. I'm just going to call them statuses. Okay then, so for very simple tasks, I found that I only needed 2 or possibly 3 statuses, and these would be set up as to do, when I create the task that I need to do it, an in progress column or status, and that's when I might get halfway through and something else takes me away from that task, or I might be putting it on hold, or I need further information. And then finally the completed task, when everything was done and I could just move on and forget about it. So I started with these in the Kanban view, and to alter these, if you go to the top, there is an option to add a status, okay, or add a status button. And when you click on here, you can add the name of the status and add a color for it. Now, once you've made this, you can then drag that status, that column, in between the 2 default statuses that I mentioned before. So you can't make a status after completed. ClickUp is very good at allowing it to be adapted and for your workflow to be flexible and change. So as you can imagine, you can actually alter anything that you've created in the past, and as you change your workflow, you can adjust them. So if you've already created a status and you want to change it, then you can just go up to the 3 buttons up at the top right of the status, and this provides you with some options. The collapse status does exactly what it says, and it collapses that status, that column, so it's just like one line. Now it's still present, but you can't see the content of it. Rename does exactly that, so you can rename, and you also have another option there that's called edit statuses. Now, just as a bit of a side point, I always think that applications you should be able to learn an application and how they use things. It should be quite intuitive to the user, and I have to say that it was finding those 3 buttons that says edit statuses that I actually was able to locate a different place to change and create statuses. And this is the dialog box that comes up when you go to the 3 little buttons next to the list name. Okay, and if you go into that setting, then you can also go up to list statuses there as well. Now, I don't know whether or not ClickUp is actually listening at the moment, but I think it would have been better, rather than naming this list statuses, that they actually called it edit statuses, and then that would be the same as the option that you have when you press the three little buttons next to the column. They both go to the same place, so consistency would have been a better idea here. There might be a reason why they're called different things, and I've yet to discover it. Anyway, back with the video. So once you've have an idea about the different statuses that you want to have, then you can start to create your own template, and then you can save this and apply it to any new list that you create. So I'm quite happy to share with you the statuses that I use, that I've created, and explain to you my thinking behind them. And if you would like to use them when you're organizing your ClickUp, then go for it. They're up there to be used. So the first one that I use is one of the default ones, and it's called Inbox. And I think I keep that idea of an inbox from working with Asana, but also with OmniFocus. And the inbox is where I put all my tasks. So anything that I have to do within that area, within that content, a part of my content creation, or in my home areas, my home spaces, then it goes immediately in there and I capture it into the inbox. And just to let you know, I have another video coming up pretty soon about capturing ideas and tasks and getting them into ClickUp. So do watch out for that one. Now, the next column, it took me a while to actually decide how to do this. And the next one is a status that's called ideas. And this was whenever I got an idea about a piece of content, about a graphic, Instagram reel or TikTok or video, this is where it would be added to the list view. Now, you might be thinking, well, what about the inbox? Is that the same, or is that different to ideas? Well, inbox for me is all about tasks. That's what I'm going to do. Ideas are more to do with concepts or what I'm going to create. But again, it works fine whichever way you look at them. And yeah, you can call them whatever you wish. So initially, all my brain dumping either goes into the inbox or into the ideas, depending whether or not it's a task or an idea. And at this point, I have to say that I have multiple spaces, but I keep the colors for the statuses exactly the same. So ideas is always yellow. So whenever I see yellow, then I know ideally, I know it's an idea. Okay, so the next status I have is one that says in progress. So what that means is that I've actually started on the task, but I haven't completed it. And I have to have this because obviously I work part-time, I do content creation for the rest of the time. And so I might start something off and then have to go to the work next day, or with very long tasks like creating this video, I might shift it from the ideas into the in progress because I'm writing the script, or I'm doing some research about it, or I'm editing it. And to be honest with you, the actual task or the idea spends, once it's started to move, once I've started to work on it, it probably spends the longest period of time in this status saying that it's actually in progress. So my next status is ready. And this is when the task has been completed, everything is done on it, and you can use subtasks or checklists with a progress bar to see how far you are along with the progression of the task. So that's really helpful, and I'll talk about those in a different video. So once everything is finished with the task. So I've done all the checklists, I've done all the subtasks, and I've uploaded it. It's got a script attached to it. I've created the thumbnail if it's a YouTube video and uploaded that to the task. If everything is there, then I move it to ready. Now, you might be thinking in your head, sure, but surely that task is complete. Well, actually, my workflow, it's not yet. There's 2 more statuses after ready. And let me explain what they are and why I use them. So when I'm creating content, then what I try to do is ensure that I'm working a month ahead of myself. So say, for example, the date currently is the 13th of July. It's probably not the date that you're watching this because it'll take me a while to complete it. But within July, I'm not actually creating content for July. That's all done and scheduled and ready to go. I'm actually producing content for August. And so what I do is that once the video has been completed, it's uploaded, it's had its description, it's got its thumbnail and everything, I move it to ready, okay, and it stays there. And that is because after that, there are 2 other statuses. One that says it's scheduled, and then the next one to say it's completed. Now, the scheduled status means that the concept or the task was ready, and I've actually scheduled it to be shared wherever. So I actually use a free program called Metricool that allows you to schedule posts across social media. I actually did a video about that, so if you're interested in checking that out, then do have a look either up there or in the comments. Now, once the task was ready, I now move it to scheduled. It's now got a date attached to it, and I know that's when I'm planning to move. Schedule it to share with my audience. At that point, I also have to say that sometimes that scheduled date will change, and I will sort of like think, oh, it's not going to go out on the 1st, it's now going to go out on the 10th or something like that. And that using the calendar view allows me to see where those videos or reels or graphics are being shared. Now, at the same point, if I suddenly think I'm not sharing that at the moment, even though it's scheduled, I'm not sharing it, I've got other content that is more suitable to be shared, then I can move it away from scheduled back to ready. And so generally the progression of tasks is from the inbox on ideas up to scheduled and completed, but remember, you can move them backwards and forwards. I have to say there's been a task that's been in progress for quite a while because I keep finding other things to work on, so I'll probably have to target that in my next review. Okay, so once it's been scheduled, it stays in that status until it's actually shared. And then once it's actually shared, then I move it to completed, and that's it. Remember, once they're moved to completed, they don't disappear. You can still search for them. They're still there, but it's just moved slightly along, and it no longer, I collapse those columns or say I don't want to see them, just because if I've completed them, then they're out of my head. Although if I suddenly want to think, did I actually do that? You can go back and check it. So once you have all your statuses set up and you're happy with them, then you can save this as a template. And what this does allows you to do is that every time you create a new list or you move things around, you can actually use that template to create the statuses in the new list. So I have 2 templates, one that is just to do in progress completed, and then the next one is the inbox ideas in progress, ready, scheduled, completed, and that runs. I just assign them the list, the most appropriate template for the statuses. Now, before I go any further, I'd just like to mention something, that one thing that I found, I really invested in ClickUp and I use it a lot. I actually did find that on my free version, there's a limit in the amount of storage that you can have. Okay, so that's something to be aware of. And, you know, especially if you're uploading to your tasks images or videos or things like that, you know, it's all going into the task, then you might actually find that you've used up your allotted storage quite quickly. Now, if this does happen, then remember you can just upgrade your plan to the next level up. And just to let you know, doing that gives you unlimited storage. Unlimited storage gives you some other extras as well, but just for that slight increase of paying for it a little bit, then you get unlimited storage, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But, you know, if you want to keep it free, then just be careful what you're actually uploading to all your tasks. Remember, the tasks stay there in the completed. So you'll either need to be careful or periodically go through and delete a whole load of tasks so they're no longer being used within ClickUp storage. And that's it, all about statuses in ClickUp. Just before I go, I really would like to say that, you know, ClickUp is highly adaptive and flexible, and that's one of the reasons I like using it. So don't worry, you know, have a go, set up your own statuses, use the default ones that are provided for you, and let ClickUp develop and improve as you work through your own workflow and actually get better and better with that and your productivity. So in the next video, I'm going to look at everything that goes on a card or a task. We're going to look at subtasks and checklists and descriptions and where documents can be put. And also, if you're working as a team, how comments can interact from your team members within that card. So do come back and have a look at that. And like I said, if you found this helpful, then consider liking, commenting and subscribing. If you're interested in using ClickUp or having a go, then please do download the free version and have a go, get organizing and see how it can support you. And if you have any questions about how I use ClickUp, then please feel free to pop them in the comments below and I will answer as many of them as I know the knowledge to actually do so. Okay, so yeah, keep tuned. I'm going to be continuing to talk about how I use ClickUp and how it's helping me to maintain a consistent, efficient and effective workflow for not only my content creation, but for all the tasks I do. So I hope you found this video helpful, and yeah, I will see you next time. Until then, stay positive and productive. I'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.